JB, it's us again. Hi. You're probably sick of hearing from us and seeing us, so we're going to jump to this one pretty quickly here. Nick DiCairano is an Endicott college kicker who really went lights out this season, especially. And 47-yarder. I remember him kicking during the season, and I'm like, wow, this guy is good. And to recognize it was probably in the wind, not wind aided, and the leg he was able to put through a lot of these kicks throughout the last year plus that we saw him in, and then even before that, because he was a D2 player at Pace for a little while as well. Incredible job he's done. And remember Coach Isernia back when used to tell us about Andrew Franks, the one position that you can draft out of D3 from, because kicking is kicking when you really get down to it, is place kicking. And here we go. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Nick not only had a great college career, but he made a name for himself in the postseason by winning some special teams awards at some All-Star games, and so he's definitely on the scouts' radar. And he tells us a little bit about that in this upcoming interview. But unfortunately, he had to kind of throw back to what Andrew Franks used to have to do back when there really wasn't a lot of pro days for Division III players, which is kind of make some tape. And kind of put yourself out there, based on your skill set, because unfortunately pro days keep getting canceled, and who knows if and when they'll have a chance to resume. So Nick is certainly a kid out there who has the talent to compete at a pro level. It'll just be whether or not a team is willing to give him an opportunity to come on board into a camp and show them what he's got.
Well, he's not going to go fishing much based on what we understand in this interview, or maybe he is now that his football career at Endicott is technically over, but he's still a student there, and he tells us a lot about all that and a heck of a lot more here in this interview. Nick, thanks for joining us. This has been, as we keep saying, a hellacious week in a lot of ways, and you're going to be detailing, I think, some of the hellaciousness that you've experienced from it. But we want to introduce you to folks that may not know 100% about you yet. You had a tremendous senior year, a tremendous college career as a kicker, but a lot of people don't realize your journey did not start at Endicott. How did you get to Endicott, and kind of take us through the idea of, at what point did you realize you may have what it takes to be a pro kicker?
Well, first and foremost, thank you guys for having me. I'm very excited to be here. My journey is really crazy, honestly. I grew up playing soccer my entire life. My dad played pro soccer in Italy. So growing up, my two older brothers and I were a big soccer family. I played in high school. I played in high school for 3 years. I ended up my senior year. I had hip surgery going into my sophomore year. So I have 2 screws in both of my hips for skiffy. It's like a genetic disorder with my femur. So now my femurs are pinned in place. So after that injury, it kind of was long lasting with soccer. I lost a lot of my skill. I was in a wheelchair for quite some time, a couple months. Then I was on crutches, everything like that. So I lost a lot of time. And then I ended up saying, you know what, I want to try something new. And I started playing football my senior year. The team needed a kicker. I was just really interested in it. I always thought it was really cool, like watching NFL games and seeing what these guys did. I ended up playing my senior year of football. I had 2 field goals. I made both of them. My first PAT ever, I missed it. I kicked it short. So it's, to put it in perspective, I think I've come a pretty long way from that point. Yeah, it was an interesting time. And then after my senior year of high school, I really wanted to play college football. I really just wanted to keep pushing myself, whether it was at the Division III, Division II. If I could have walked on D1, I probably would have. But at that point, I was still really, really raw. There was a lot of kids who would go to these ranking camps like Coles and Chris Saylor, and they were 5-star kickers, and they were better than I thought I would ever be. So I had to be really realistic with myself. I thought that I could play Division III ball, so I ended up contacting Endicott when the old coaching staff was here. They were interested, but I wasn't really sure about it. So at that point, I was like, okay, like Endicott's my #1 pick. Like they've shown me a lot of interest. I want to go there. My sister is an alum. She was a goal. But then I ended up getting a call from Pace University saying, "Hey, we're really interested. You know, we'd love to have you up on campus." So I ended up going on campus. I met Coach Rondeau. At the time, the person who recruited me was Coach Hawk, and really they just said, you know, we're looking for a guy just to walk on, to come in to compete. You know, at that point I was really undersized. I probably was, you know, to put it in perspective now I'm almost 6 feet tall, almost 180 pounds. But back then I was probably 5'8", 5'9", 140 pounds. So again, I was really late with developing. I was a lot smaller, you know. So I ended up taking that preferred walk-on to Pace University. I went there, and it was a culture shock. I remember walking into camp my freshman year and just looking at how big everyone was, and I was just like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? Again, to put it in perspective, my first lift of college was the first time I ever benched before. It was the first time that I ever benched, I ever squatted, I ever did any of that. Because my high school team, I ended up joining so late that I missed all the lifts. So, yeah. So it was a culture shock. So I ended up going to Pace. Yeah, I ended up going to Pace. I made some really amazing friendships there. Me and a couple guys in the freshman class were like absolutely inseparable. To this day, I still talk to them, even though as a whole, and I'll get into it, we all ended up transferring together. But so I ended up going to Pace. In fall camp, I competed with one or two other kickers, and every week I just saw my name go up on the depth chart, which was crazy because I didn't have a big leg, but I knew if I could make every single kick inside 45, then they wouldn't be able to ignore me. And that's exactly what I did. If you asked me my freshman year to make a 47-yard field goal, I don't know if I could have made it. But inside 45, I was not going to miss. And that's what I worked on all summer. That's what I worked on going into there. So I went in there. I ended up earning the starting spot as a walk-on. I beat out a scholarship kicker. And it was just fun. To me, like, I was just having a blast, like, loving the process. Just going out there and competing every day was just so fun because everything was so new. It was so fresh. I did pretty well my freshman year. You know, it was just a blast. We ended up my freshman year going 0-11. So, you know, that was kind of hard for me. I think we were considered like one of the lowest teams in Division II. But again, everyone, it was a different culture around there. There was a lot of kids. It was, at least to me, it was really split. There were some kids who were just really fed up and really upset. And that's just how it goes, you know. And there's other kids who bought in because of the coaches and they trusted the coaches. And if you look at Pace's record now, they went from 0-11 4 years ago to now I think 9-2, 9-3. So, you know, they grew and they became a great team. Going into my sophomore year, I was on scholarship. I got put on an athletic scholarship towards the end of my fall season as a freshman. And then during my sophomore year, it was just a culture thing at that point. So it ended up after my freshman year, all of my friends ended up transferring. And those were 5 of my closest friends. They all ended up leaving and transferring. They didn't want to be there. Well, they either quit or transfer. And then a lot of other kids that I was close to, they were just like really upset about the season and about like the hard work that they put in and the success on the field and whatnot. So to me, it made it really hard for me because kicking is already a very lonely position. So at that point, I didn't really have my friends. You know, I was like, I just started treating football like a full-time job. I just started lifting more, eating more, trying to get bigger, trying to get stronger. But again, I just wasn't that happy, like genuinely. I immersed myself in the process so much, but I wasn't taking time for Nick and like, you know, thinking what makes me happy. So I ended up, I wasn't happy. And it just so happened that my head coach at the time mentioned to me that the head coach of Assumption was leaving to go to Endicott. I'm like, oh, that's so funny. You know, like I was going to go to Endicott like as a freshman, you know, and he told me, yeah, well, getting rid of the entire staff at Endicott. He's bringing a lot of guys with him, from what I've heard. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, I think this might be a sign. Like, I've always loved Endicott. I was going to go to Endicott. I ended up thinking about it more. And I said, I'm going to finish out the season, but I want to go through spring ball and see how I feel. I went through spring ball and I just kind of knew. And I personally, like, I'm big into character, and I just didn't think it would be fair of like me and my teammates to, like, for me at least, to go out there to train with them, to lift with them. And I wasn't bought in. I just didn't think that was fair. So I ended up quitting during my sophomore year of spring ball. And I contacted Endicott right away. And I just said, you know, like, this is who I am. I actually played against you guys at Pace. You know, I'd really love the opportunity to come. I got in touch with Coach Hook, who is no longer with Endicott, but he was awesome. He invited me up for a visit. I went up for a visit, and I absolutely fell in love automatically. I'm a huge fisherman, which actually ended up getting me into a little trouble. I'll tell you guys that story a little later on. But I went up to Endicott, and I loved it. The beaches, the people, the coaches, the culture, everything. I just knew it was a fit. And they also had a kicking coach there too, Coach Tad Biker, who was a 2-time All-American at Assumption. He was going to train me every day. So I was sold. I was sold. I ended up telling Endicott that day, like, I'm coming, I'm sold. Like, that's the end of it.
I got to interject for 1 second there, Nick. I got to interject for 1 second. We want to remind folks, you're on In the Huddle. The Nick DiCairano story is a great one here. But, you know, Endicott in fishing, I don't want to lose this story before we go too far.
Into it. Basically, I love to fish. That's like that's my happy place. That's what I do whenever I'm stressed out, or I just want to, like, you know, just get away from everything. So I ended up bringing a fishing pole to camp. I walked in with it, and one of the coaches saw it, and he goes, "What are you doing with that?" I go, "Oh, like, I love to fish." And he thought I was joking, so no one said anything about it. So it was around 8 o'clock. I didn't have a meeting that night, so I figured I might as well go fishing in the pond on campus. And I'm walking to the pond on campus, and this car drives right past me, stops, backs up, and it's my head coach. And we exchanged some words, and he basically told me, go to bed. Moral of the story, go to bed. I went back to bed, and the next day there was a new rule that nobody is allowed to fish, and he never thought in his entire coaching career that he would have to say that. So, yeah. Then I was known as kind of the kid who liked to fish. They didn't really know what to think of me at that point, so I kind of had to build up from there. The junior year was awesome. I didn't really know what to expect. It was definitely different being with a new snapper and holder. Brendan Johnson is unbelievable. I would put my life on the line to say he's the best Division III holder, maybe even probably one of the best holders in the entire country, for all divisions. I've never seen someone with hands like his. Ryan Nelson, my snapper, fantastic. He's really, really consistent. So it was just a good op. We were in a great flow. I think I was 12 for 13 as a junior. I got AP All-American, D3 football All-American, all that, which was awesome. To me, it was just a dream, because I was just going out there, and the coaches really helped me to get away from the mindset of, like, oh, I want to be really good at kicking. Like, that was my mindset. And we changed that to, I want to be really good at being disciplined when I go to practice, doing the right things, eating, things that I can control. I needed to focus on things that, because I can't necessarily control the snap and the hold, but I can control everything else. And if I can maximize my chances of being the best athlete I can be, then we're gonna set ourselves up for success. And that's what happened. I'll never forget, we played against Curry. Coach sent me out for a 47-yarder into the wind. And I looked at my holder as we were going out there. I'm like, is this a fake? Like, did he not tell me? And he's like, no, like, we're going for it. I was like, all right, like, I guess we're going to go for it. And, yeah, I went out there. I made it. I was very, very happy. The film shows me being very happy about it. But, again, it just kind of got to the point where, like, I not only had, like, the trust in my holder and snapper and all the guys on the line who, again, did such a fantastic job, it was the team started really trusting me, and to the point where when I went out for a field goal, they would get the kickoff team ready. So that to me was like the best moment of my life, like going out there, kicking, and then coming off to the sideline, and I already see the kickoff team like ready to go. Junior year was awesome. At that point, after getting All-American, a couple kicking coaches reached out to me and said like, hey, you know, like you're really, really consistent. You definitely have to work on how strong your leg is, but you know, consistency is harder than getting a big leg, at least in everyone that I talked to's opinion. Did that, trained over the summer. I actually stayed at Endicott over the summer, lifted with Coach Dustin every day. He got me a lot stronger, a lot bigger, a lot faster, everything. So everything was really falling into place. Senior year, the team was looking amazing. We played amazing. We had the best season in Endicott history. We won the New England Bowl. I had 2 kicks blocked, and in total I had a couple misses, which were on me. It was just kind of sometimes when you kick, there's things that you're supposed to focus on, but I was focusing on different things with my swing, everything like that, which I got all figured out, all fixed. Senior year was awesome. I got some really cool accolades, which again were nice, but again, I was more so just focused on winning a ring. I just wanted to win a championship with my team, and we ended up doing that. So to me, that's the best thing that I could have asked for. It didn't matter to me if I missed every field goal. If my team won a ring, genuinely, I would have been thrilled.
Show the hoodie. Show the hoodie.
Yeah, I will.
New England Bowl.
Always got to represent.
Yeah. I was just going to ask about your experiences. I think after the New England Bowl, I think you came down here to Florida and participated in some postseason, Senior Bowl kind of stuff. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, so I ended up right after my senior year. I got contacted by the National Bowl, the Dream Bowl, and then I got invited to play at the CGS. I was hoping that I could have gotten an NFLPA or an East-West Shrine, but a lot of the competition that I went against, they had better percentages and they were Division I players, so I understood. I can't say I wasn't disappointed because I love going into those things and just competing, especially when everyone thinks that I'm an underdog. But I ended up going to the National Bowl first down in Florida. It was an awesome experience. I had a couple NFL teams down there watch me kick. I had 5 teams, I think, line up to watch me kick towards the end of one of the first or second practices. And to me, that was just surreal. I was just in total shock, but I was also just locked in. There's a clip on my Twitter. I ended up hitting a 54-yarder right in front of all of them with a good amount of room to spare. And that was awesome. After that, I actually got an email from an NFL team asking, basically they just sent me a Google Doc. It was 10 or 11 pages with all my information from, who do I think is the toughest player on the team? What do I think my best attributes are? Everything. Any question in the world was on that Google Doc. So I filled that all out. I was excited. I was ecstatic. I had an NFL team email me with my name on it, and it said at the bottom, so-and-so scouting. So I was like, at that point, I didn't even know what to say. After that, I went to the CGS. The CGS was awesome. I competed against a lot of Division I guys, probably some of the best kickers in the draft, to be totally honest. The way the CGS was set up was that it was a live snap and hold. The teams there was probably on the field, at least, I would say 15 to 20 teams all lined up. And beforehand, it was a little intimidating seeing the names that were on that list. And I kind of talked to one of my coaches about it. I'm like, we're going against some really big names. And he's just like, it doesn't matter. He's like, they're not there when you kick. All you got to do is focus on yourself. Yeah. So that's what I did. I went out there. I think I only missed 2 kicks. I missed a 43 on the left hash, and I ended up missing a 58. And the 58 was a bonus. So you had to make the 50. I think you go to 52 or 53, and then 55, and then 58. So I ended up making all those. I believe I came in second from a consistency standpoint. The person who came in first was the kicker from Mississippi State. He was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal. He was a all combo guy, so he could punt, kick, and kick off. He was fantastic. So it was awesome because the way that I placed as a Division III guy, I beat out so many Division I kids. I beat out some of the biggest names in Division I. I was beating out kids who had interviews with scouts before, ended up charting better. And it was just awesome. You know, it wasn't even about me beating them out, but it was about me just saying to myself, like, look at how far I've come from kicking a PAT short to now I'm hitting a 58-yard field goal right down the middle in front of NFL teams. So I couldn't ask for anything more. I couldn't ask for anything more. It helped that the snapper and the holder that I had were just lights out at the CGS. They were phenomenal.
Sure.
So then after that, I went to the Dream Bowl. The Dream Bowl was really cool. It was really cold. It was in Virginia. It was really, really cold. I ended up getting special teams MVP of the National Bowl and the Dream Bowl. So both bowl games that I went to, I got special teams MVP, which was awesome. I had one team ask about me. I think they wanted to interview me, but I don't, you know, sometimes people get caught up in things, and it's also, I'm a kicker. I'm not a very sought after, you know, like phenomenal wide receiver, skill position guy. But I do know that there were one or two teams asking about me, wanting to know who I was, things like that. After that, I kind of went home. I got to decompress a little because all those games were really close in time.
I just want to jump in 1 second, Nick, and let folks know also, you're talking about the CGS, which is the College Gridiron Showcase. There's also the Small School Showcase. Later in the week, we're going to be having interviews that we have did back in, I want to say February or late January, with David Tamero, who actually was in the Small School Showcase from Johns Hopkins, and Mike Riddleman, who was one of the main organizers of both showcases. Yep. So stay tuned for those later in the week here on In the Huddle to learn more about that event, especially. You're going into actually the next line of question I had, so let me kind of focus you on exactly where I'd like to go with it, which is we are kind of doing a coronavirus special here, and your life, unfortunately, is taking an odd turn because of it. And you know, why don't you tell folks what was set up next? What were your next steps, essentially? Why you were going to go in that route, and what's happened since?
So I had a pro day scheduled at Holy Cross for March 24th, but because of the coronavirus and everything, everything is shut down from the NHL, the NBA, the NFL pulled all their scouts off the road. Excuse me. So the pro day is essentially right now canceled. I'm not sure what the NFL has in place if they're going to have us make it up, if there's going to be one big pro day where everyone goes and competes. I'm not sure. But I do know is that, you know, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I can control right now how I train, how I work, things that I'm doing. And that's why I'm making the sacrifice of staying at school instead of being at home with my family. Just because I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with the process. I just want to get better, bigger, stronger, faster. My agent said that we might set something up to where, you know, we'll just have continuous film rolling, 10-ball set, just like the pro day, and we'll send it to every team. I think not just for kickers, but I think for everyone else involved, that's a great idea that they should do.
Well, it sounds kind of like that's basically what Andrew Franks had to do about 5 years ago when he was auditioning. I mean, I don't think there was necessarily a pro day scheduled at RPI. I know yesterday was like the 5-year anniversary of Ali Marpet's at Hobart, but you know, pro days and D3 guys is really sort of a new thing. You actually got to speak with Andrew recently. Tell us a little bit about that conversation, what he had to tell you about his experience kicking in the NFL and then, you know, in the XFL up until the point when the season was suspended because of all this coronavirus stuff.
Yeah, so I Frank was able to get me in touch with Andrew Franks. Andrew's a great guy. I remember I actually have kicked with Andrew. He probably doesn't remember at a kicking camp going into my senior year. So I knew who he was and I saw him kick and I was absolutely blown away already. and he's just got a massive leg. He's so consistent. He's so smooth. Everything, like he's everything you want in an NFL kicker. Andrew just told me that, you know, as a Division III guy, we're definitely against the odds just because we play Division III. But the division we play at doesn't define us. I've seen Division III kickers that are better than Division I kickers. I've seen Division III slot receivers that are better than Division I slot receivers. I don't think it's definitive of who you are as an athlete. Andrew said that, you know, his journey was really, a lot of it was up in the air, and it's really like mine. A lot of times there's just radio silence. You're not hearing anything. A lot of team scoutings are just really focused on other players, other things. A lot of teams have their guys that they like, and you need to show that, you know, number one, I deserve your attention, but number two, I deserve to be on your team. And he really put it in perspective because he said, you're not just competing with this incoming class of kickers. You're competing against this incoming class, every single free agent, every single veteran, everyone. So instead of thinking that I'm competing with, you know, 15 guys per se that are phenomenal kickers coming out of this draft, I'm really competing against probably 100. Which to me, it's like, okay, I gotta kick it up a notch. I thought, you know, I definitely know I was working really hard, but now, you know, I'm staying on campus by myself, all by my lonesome. Everyone else is going on spring break, but I'm here working. So again, those are the things that, and he also said that too. You know, you need to be able to make sacrifices. You need to be able to say to yourself, this is what I want. This is the dream that I want to achieve, and everything like that. But really great guy. I can't say enough good things about him.
I want to add also, JB is instrumental in putting you in touch with him, reaching out to his aunt, Amy Kuhn, who's a big fan of our show over the years. So thanks to Aunt Amy for that.
She's
thank you very much, Amy. And we do appreciate all the time that Andrew's given up. Not the first time we put him in touch with some folks, and he's always been gracious with his time. So thank you to Andrew for that. You're just about to hit the next question, so we'll just roll with it here. You know, you are alone on campus, quote unquote, and you're going to be alone on campus for a little bit longer than people would have anticipated, probably because of what's happened. This is your senior year. You have not graduated early, from what I understand. And so this is, you know, for the couple of years you've been there, this is your class, and it's got to feel awkward right now. Your teammates are some of your biggest proponents out there, and so you've obviously formed a great bond with these guys, and now you may not see them for an official graduation type scenario, or if you do, it's going to be after a really long hiatus compared to what you would expect in the spring because of coronavirus. How's it feel? How's everybody taking it right now? And I mean, you're a big optimist, I can tell. For the folks out there that might not be as optimistic, you know, shed some light on this whole situation at the end of the day.
I mean, first and foremost, I couldn't imagine being a senior athlete and losing my last season. I just can't even fathom it. And not even for college guys, but high school guys too. It's honestly devastating. We're in uncharted waters, I think, regarding everything with the coronavirus, with how easily it spreads, everything like that. But my teammates are really torn up about it. I know it's definitely going to impact them, some of the younger guys too, with lifting and schedules and things like that. You know, our coaching staff has things in place to make sure that we're getting better over break. But it's also like, to take it away from an athletic standpoint, I think everyone else too, like, is really impacted by it. I know it's really hard for some people to leave school and have to leave school when some people aren't fortunate enough to have a home to go back to, or a home with adequate Wi-Fi or things like that where they can take online classes. I think the NCAA did a great job giving that this year back to athletes. I think that's the right thing to do. But it just breaks my heart knowing that, you know, a lot of people are being affected by this. And on top of it, I've kind of come to terms with myself saying that if I need to sacrifice my pro day to make sure that someone else's grandmother, father, you know, someone they love is safe, I'm okay with that, honestly. I totally accept that. I think it's the right thing to do. I think everyone just needs to focus on their health and being safe. I think football is always going to be there. I think you can always make up a pro day, but you can't make up days with someone that you lose. So that's just my take on it. And I think this is something that should be taken real seriously.
One of the things you were taking real seriously, what we were talking about before we kind of officially got into the recording of this, is you're basically kind of self-isolating yourself from your family. It sounds like you have a sibling whose health is a little bit compromised, and you just didn't want to risk anything. So you're just basically staying up there in Beverly, kind of doing your thing, getting ready for whatever NFL or pro opportunity provides itself. But tell us a little bit about your reasoning about basically just not going home to see your folks and your siblings.
Yeah. So my sister is immunocompromised. I'm at the highest risk population of contracting the virus because I take mass transit every day. I work Monday through Thursday in Boston. So because I work there, I take mass transit every day. I'm around thousands of people. And with the way that the period is with the virus, that it doesn't show symptoms for up to 3 weeks or even 2 weeks. It's just in everyone's safest bet to just have me, stay here, whether it be a week and a half, and then I can go home maybe. But right now, I just want to keep everyone safe, especially my sister and my family. They're like the two most important people to me.
Nick, I just got to be honest with you. And some people will be like, boy, there must be a little Italian in you because you can tell a story better than most. That's for sure. And trust me, people tell me that all the time, and I get it. So
I'm
don't worry.
My hands down here. I don't know if you guys can see them.
I do it all the time. But I mean, your story was I didn't even know the stuff about before college, and the screws and all that stuff that you were telling us about, and what you had to overcome to go to this point. It's unbelievable to me. And I hope that somebody out there in the NFL realm gets to see this, to understand. They're always talking about the morals of the players that they draft or sign because they don't want any train wrecks going out there. If nothing else, you've shown here you're a quality individual who's determined to succeed, and that's a credit to you and all the work that you've put into everything along the way. And your coaches have done a great job, obviously, along the way. And Coach McGonigal, with the no fishing policy, obviously has helped immensely with that. But
yes, it did. It did.
but
I really appreciate that.
Who would have known back months ago when I made that fateful prediction of Becker versus Endicott, that we would end up having a conversation like this, probably because of it at the end of the day, because you and I actually started messaging around that time to sort of be like, hey, I was admitting to you, I'm okay with the jokes at my expense because Lord knows it ain't the first time, it won't be the last time.
Won't be the last.
Nope, that's for sure. But we everything kind of comes full circle here, and I really and truly, and JB does too, I know, wish you the best. But before we let you go, obviously, I'm going to kind of get comfortable in my chair because I have a feeling there are quite a few shout-outs coming from Nick DiCairano right now. Nick, you know how it goes. You've watched our show before. Shout-outs, go ahead.
Oh, man. I mean, first of all, thank you guys for having me. I really, really appreciate it. The biggest thank you of all, especially on my journey, even if it's cut short, just thank you to my family. They've always supported me. The coaching staff at Endicott has helped me make unbelievable strides in my character, in my work ethic, everything like that. All my success goes to my teammates too. I said on Twitter that when I did get a pro day, it's not my pro day, it's our pro day, because I'm going out there representing Endicott. I'm not going out there representing myself. Everyone's just had a part in this. I haven't done this by myself. I wouldn't be able to do it by myself. There's so much stuff that has gone on behind the scenes to just make me a better athlete, to accommodate what I need, whether it's field time or different weightlifting schedules, things like that. Like, those are the things that are setting me over the edge to become good enough and to be good enough to compete with the guys in the NFL. But again, the support I get from Endicott is unbelievable. I can't thank everyone enough for honestly everything.
Man, I don't even know where to go with that. Go ahead.
Well, one of my favorite off-season photos was probably one of Nick's when he had that. You know how Endicott has like the sort of like the Philadelphia Eagles style, with the winged helmet, and it was like on the beach in front of a condo in Daytona. It was like an iconic, like classic Florida picture. I love that. And Nick, one quick question I had was, we've heard you referred to as the Deke by your teammates. Where did that nickname come from exactly? Was that something one of your holders or one of the guys on the team?
Yeah.
With? I mean, I've had a hard time saying DiCairano the whole last few years. Frank keeps correcting me, but Deke I can get.
Yeah. So funny enough, nobody calls me Nick. I'm only referred to as Deeks. Deeks comes from my last name. The first three letters is DiCairano. So everyone just calls me Deeks. My Twitter name was Deeks going into Endicott, and I think people thought it was like kind of funny, but it stuck. Everyone at Pace called me Deeks, even my coaches there, and everyone here calls me Deeks too. Even someone from public safety asked me, they were like, "Oh, are you Deeks?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." So I haven't been referred. I'm only referred to as Nick really by my mom and people who don't like
by us, right? We got to change the line on the thing below to just get rid of that Nick thing. Just Deeks, Frank. Come on.
How do we spell it exactly in this respect?
DEEKS.
DEEKS.
There you go.
Nice.
Perfect.
Well, nonetheless, Deeks, we wish you luck. Stay in touch. Keep us updated, and we will look for you in the pros. Don't forget about us little guys once you get there. Okay?
Never ever. Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate it. Again, having me on your show.
Thanks.
Thanks
again to Nick for his time. Deeks, thank
you.
Yeah. Look. A couple places he was obviously long-winded on his journey, but that journey is something that be as long-winded as you want to be about it.
Story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a welcome change because a lot of times we get in these sports shows you get the 1 or 2 sentence answered and you're like pulling teeth to get information. Yeah, but it has been quite a ride for him from just kind of converting from soccer to hip surgery to missing his first ever PAT and then nailing 50+ yarders in postseason showcase games. So I mean, he's come a long way in a short period of time. He's got a great attitude, particularly given what the odds he's up against. And currently in the situation with the virus out there, he's taking care of himself. He's taking care of his family, and so you got to give. He's matured a lot in a short period of time. Seems like a great young man, and we certainly be interested to watch his story continue as it was kind of told to us today.
He brought up that College Gridiron Showcase. We're going to talk about the Small School Showcase and College Gridiron Showcase on Tuesday when we have a couple interviews from that. But next up will be Saturday, March 21st. Coach Jimmy Robertson, the new head coach at FDU Florham, will be joining us to talk about his experience with the Devils as an assistant coach for a little bit, but also assistant coach at Merchant Marine Academy before that under Coach Toop. What he learned from all the coaches that he's been working with or under throughout the years, and how coronavirus is affecting the Devils. Again, don't know when things are going to resume exactly, and if they don't resume this spring, obviously a lot of things change for a lot of teams, and he'll explain his position and thoughts on that. So come back on Saturday here on In the Huddle.